The logic at work is anticipatory and preemptive. Finally, a number of thinkers drawing on the philosophical traditions of pragmatism and constructivism have proposed forms of speculative thinking that relate to the world not via criteria of right and wrong or factuality and reality. Instead, they propose to foreground the possible effectiveness of fiction as a mode of knowing that has consequences for the real. Instead of epistemologically ordering and reducing the world, our knowledge practices should break with a rationalist conception and maintain a relation to reality that is bewildered in order to open lines of learning. Science is here seen as a practice of precautionary progression that actively and self-consciously composes a world in response to matters of concern. It is no longer in the delusion of being capable of producing indisputable facts about either the past or the future. Instead, facts have become issues. We're very happy to be able to welcome great scholars from a diverse range of fields to this conversation on epistemology, politics, and art. By confronting these different fields with one another, as well as their objects and expertise, we hope to engage together in an exercise of mapping the complexities and intricacies of the various efforts to fix, control, and unleash the potentials of different pasts and futures. The forces of imagination and speculation are at the heart of any project to think difference. They are crucial for opening up established narratives and rigid understandings. And yet, as the play with and rehearsal of alternative scenarios gains new levels of authority and new degrees of effectiveness, it is pertinent to also reflect concretely on the consequent reality of possibility. Calling reality into question can be emancipatory as well as injurious. How then, across diverse epistemic routines and artistic practices, are contingency, possibility, and blind spots problematized? How do they become the object of reflexivity, calculation, and/or integration into procedures and analysis? And with what consequences? Following these various configurations we have just sketched, we would like to end this introduction by offering some lines of inquiry that might guide us through these 2 days. First, in a contemporary moment when formations of science and power have enabled new forms of erasure, both retrospective and preemptive, we can renew Foucault's concern to inquire into the changing mechanisms and parameters for apprehending and asserting the bounds and essence of what counts as real and factual. How are phenomena, scales, objects, and happenings rendered existent? And what status and role has that which lies beyond it? How is the potential, the possible, and the contingent reconfigured, and what role is it accorded? Second, our introductory examples of genocide and climate change denial were intended to draw attention to how gestures and strategies that call particular realities into doubt have powerful consequences. They can fortify disciplinary hierarchies and economies of knowledge and greatly affect the social and political field. What happens, for instance, to communicative essentials of democratic deliberation, such as doubt and skepticism, when the questioning of reality has itself become a weapon? And what happens to political, legal, and scientific forms of deliberation when fields of possibility are opened up through the exceptional becoming the norm, as we can witness now almost every day? Third, the play with possibilities and the imagination of difference can be empowering and creative, but submitted to efforts of control, they can amount to violence that touches past, present, and future existence itself, as when existential realities are called into question or fields of emergence circumscribed. What are the forms and avenues through which violence is perpetrated by means of the different configurations of reality? And how are life, death, and survival themselves figured within these respective imaginaries? While genocide denial, for instance, might aim at replacing the figure of the survivor with that of the aggressor, in the face of future catastrophe, it is the survival of the species that is deemed to be at stake. Life is thereby figured as an indistinctive field of vitality whose regeneration must be secured, while political life is marked by loss and survival, fostering feelings of alertness and anxiety.